now reached the fourth main operation of arithmetic, division. And as usual, the first question we're going to ask is, what is it? Division is an operation that we use in two situations. Division is the operation we use if we are either dividing a group of objects into groups of a given size, or dividing a group of objects into a given number of equal-sized groups. Alright, what do we mean by that? Here's a division sentence. 48 divided by 8 equals 6. Now, like in all the other operations, these numbers have names. 48 is the dividend, 8 is the divisor, and 6 is the quotient. Especially divisor and quotient are terms that you should definitely remember. Dividend we will also actually use quite a bit. How do we understand this division sentence in terms of these two ideas? We could understand it in two ways. We could understand this as meaning if I have 48 children and I split them into teams of 8, there are 6 teams. Or as saying, if I have 48 children and I split them into 8 teams, there are 6 children per team. Let's look at a picture to understand why these can actually be described with the same sentence. Here are my 48 children. And looking at them, I can see that if I take these groups, I'll get 8 equal-sized teams. How could I form those teams? I could have my children count off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I could have all the 1s go over here and be on this team, all the 2s, all the 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, and 8s. Right? That's what I would do if I wanted to form 8 teams that were all the same size. On the other hand, if I wanted to choose teams of 8, right, what would I do? I would count 8 children, and I would tell them that they were team 1. And then I would count 8 more children, and I would tell them that they were team 2. 8 more children, they're team 3. 8 more, they're team 4. 8 more, they're team 5. And then the last 8 would be team 6. So either way, what am I doing? At each stage, I'm peeling 8 children off of my group. Right, so how should I understand 48 divided by 8 a little bit more mathematically? I can understand division as repeated subtraction. So what do I mean by that? I started off with 48 children, and I peeled 8 of them off. That's my first group of 8. 48 minus 8. Now there are 40 children left in the group. I peel off another 8. 40 minus 8, that's 32. Oh, I see that that was my second group of 8. I peel off a third group of 8. And now there are, borrow 24 left. That was my third group of 8. Peel off another 8. More borrowing. 14 minus 8 is 6. That was my fourth group of 8, and I have 16 children left in the group. Take away another group. Oh, I've only got 8 children left. So here's my fifth group. I pull the last 8 children out. There are none left in the group, and I have 6 teams of 8. Right? So division is repeated subtraction to find that 48 divided by 8 is 6. I see that I can subtract 8 from 48 6 times before there's nothing left. Right, so I'm going to have you actually work out a division problem this way. Now, if you already know the answer off the top of your head, that's fine, but please work it out this way for the purpose of the exercise. Use repeated subtraction to find 21 divided by 7. Pause the video and try this now. Okay, so I start with 21 things. I take away 7 of them to form my first group of 7. What do I have left? 11 minus 7 is 4. 1 minus nothing is 1. So that was one group of 7. I take away 7 more. 14 minus 7, I know what that is. That's just 7. So I've made my second group of 7. And 7 minus 7, well, that's just 0. And that was my third group of 7. So I made 1, 2, 3 groups of 7. 21 divided by 7 is 3. One last thing to mention in saying what is division. We should mention that there are 2 other ways to write down a division problem. We just wrote 21 divided by 7 equals 3. We could also write this using a division bar as 21 over 7 equals 3. Notice, the dividend goes above the division bar, the divisor goes below it. There is one last way we can write this division problem, and we're going to use this when we're actually doing division, when we're actually performing the operation with large numbers. We can also write division in this way. Notice, the dividend goes inside, divisor goes outside, and the quotient goes on top. All right, now these are used in slightly different ways. In particular, this setup is not a sentence. This is part of the machinery that we will later use to do long division. And I would tend to read these in slightly different ways. I would read this sentence as 21 divided by 7 equals 3. I would tend to read this one as 21 over 7 equals 3. And I would tend to read this one as saying 7 goes into 21 3 times. I would read this as 7 goes into 21, just because the 7 is written first in the direction I'm used to reading. It's important not to read this as 7 divided by 21, because that would be the opposite order from this problem.